This podcast is not intended to provide any investment advice. The opinions expressed here by either the hosts or guests do not necessarily reflect the views of PSA, Collectors Holdings, or any of their affiliates. Any discussion of collectible values in the past or present is not a guarantee of future performance.
Hello and welcome to The Index. My name is Chris McGill and I'm here with Ryan Green. The Index discusses the hobby from the vantage point of price data and market trends provided by CardLighter. Here's the rundown. First, we overview notable auction prices realized over the last month, and then we discuss market swings, both by player and by card. So Ryan, let's get started.
Let's go. I'm excited for this one, Chris. Thanks for jumping back on with me today. This is
Of course.
we've got some good stuff to get through today, but first I got to ask, NBA season, we're a couple weeks underway. How you feeling in general? I mean, this is your time of the year. How's the start of the season been?
It is, I love this time of the year. And I'm like a football collector, like a hardcore football collector for like 2 months every year, September and October. And then NBA starts and I'm just all I can think about is basketball cards again. I don't know, man. It's been more of the same, honestly. I think the Celtics are yet again the best team in the East, and they're a little bit better than they were last year even, or maybe a lot better depending upon who you ask. And then I think in the West, you've got the Nuggets, who are a little bit ahead of the competition, but you've got the LA teams, the Warriors, some other teams not too far behind. So I think it's going to be a competitive year.
It's a really long season. It's just a good reminder of that.
It is.
You know what's cool though? Like when we talk about just on the collecting front, when the people who in this hobby and collect with, when they're like big collectors of a player and you see that player doing well, you're like excited by proxy. I have been really excited for you watching the start that Luka's had this season.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been really a fun start. I don't know what his averages are after the most recent game, but before it, after the first 5 games, he was averaging 33, 11, and 10, which, that's one of those only players since Wilt to have done it.
I call this like possessed Luka, what we're seeing.
Yeah.
So, anyway, as you introed, we're going to start the show as we do every month on the Index with talking about notable auction results. And similar to the last couple months, we're going to zero in on one here. And it's interesting we were talking about Luka because we're going to talk about another international name that has come and gone in terms of his playing career in the States and overall, but really fascinating figure in the hobby space with collectors. Chris, what do we got?
Yeah, we have the one and only Ichiro, and we have a monstrous sale of one of his cards that took place on Golden last month. So the 2001 Ultimate Collection, card number 120, Ichiro, autograph numbered to 250, PSA 10, sold for a whopping $207,400 on October 28th. That is the highest sale of an Ichiro card ever, and the previous record isn't even close. It was $43,200 for his Bowman Chrome Gold Refractor out of 99 PSA 10 rookie from July of 2021. So big, multiples more than any public sale of Ichiro to date. Now, the PSA 10 of this Ultimate Collection autographed Ichiro is a population 3, and only 37 grades of this card exist in the PSA database. It's numbered to 250. It's autographed, and there are no parallels. So this is a true base card from the base set, and it has no parallels, just these 250, that's it. And Ryan, per Baseball Cardpedia, Ichiro only has 2 autographed rookie cards from a base set during his rookie year. You've got this one, the 01 Ultimate Collection, and then you've got the 2001 SPX. That's it. You've just got those 2. And we'll talk a little bit more about the SPX in a minute here, but there's some background information on this card, and I wonder what do you think when you get the stats for this card, so to speak?
So what's funny, and again, we're gonna get into this and like the product lineage of Ultimate Collection, but you and me were both around in the late '90s, early 2000s, and collect those eras, and it's funny because this day and age, you say Ultimate Collection, and it kind of I don't know if it has the same impact it did in 2001, but like the way I put it is that Ultimate Collection was released and walked so that Exquisite could then come along and run. Like, this was kind of the prerequisite to Exquisite, which is the Upper Deck product that has kinda held up the most over the years because of some of the highest end stuff with the LeBron, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Um, I'll be totally honest with you. So I was not a big Ichiro collector. During these years of cards, I was more collecting football than baseball. I've actually never seen this card until this sale. And my first thing I said to you when we were talking about this before we came on and recorded was, "You never see this card, do you?" Not knowing the sales history, I'm just assuming you never see this. These are cards that were hoarded and stored away over the course of the last 2 decades. It's an awesome card. Not only the on card auto. We're going to talk about SPX, but this is his only rookie on card auto. Um, And I just think the photo with the backwards hat, kind of the tribute to Griffey, I guess there you could say. This just like eye appeal wise, when you compare this to SPX, like this wins in a landslide.
Yep, it really does. And the card sort of I can't quite make out what trophies he's holding in his hand, but if yeah, I know that during the 2001 season, he won MVP of the AL and he was rookie of the year. And I wonder if those I don't know if those are the two trophies he's holding. I probably shouldn't even
He's
speculate about
he's
it,
in
but
an all-star game jersey. So this is something at the all-star.
got it. Okay. Well,
Yeah. So we'd have to do some digging, but yeah, this is something all-star related, which is even cooler because he was an
yeah,
all-star as a rookie.
it's cool. Yeah, there's what this photo says to me is this guy is having an incredible season as a non-traditional rookie in baseball, and he's about to make a giant splash and put together some of the greatest hit streaks and the 10 plus or the 10 straight seasons of 200 plus hits and everything. It just it you this photo predicts greatness, and I like that about it. But on the other hand, it's not an action shot, and sometimes people like those too. So I don't all right, but let's continue this discussion by getting into the set background now. So a little bit of information about the product. I love the point you made about how Ultimate gave way to Exquisite. And even in the LeBron rookie year, arguably the most coveted LeBron cards come from Ultimate. It's the vertical and the horizontal Ultimate Logo Man autographs, that which are both one of ones. Those are arguably the best LeBron cards ever made, or close to it. Whereas Exquisite didn't have a patch autograph one of one. So digging into this particular set, per PSA Card Facts, Upper Deck released the 2001 Ultimate Collection baseball product in January of 2002. So it came after the '01 season, which is maybe where I was getting the idea of how they get that photograph and what is it showing. Now, the base set contained only 120 cards, which is pretty small for your typical baseball base set, but more normal for a higher end product. And Ichiro is the final card in the set, card number 120. So he brings up the caboose of the set, so to speak. Ichiro and only two other rookies were limited to 250 autographed copies. Just him and two others. One of the others was Mark Pryor, Ryan, of Chicago Cubs fame. So a little bit more about this product, this time from Baseball Cardpedia again. Boxes of 2001 Ultimate Collection Baseball were configured in the following fashion. Only 4 cards per pack, which is something we're a little more used to today, but at that time was novel. So 4 cards per pack, 4 packs per box. And apparently this was the first product to ever retail for $100 per pack. And I kind of went back and like tried to find sales data to see if I could corroborate that. And I was able to find sales of hobby boxes for around $400 from I think 2005. So, I guess that it very well could be that they came out of the gate $100 per pack or $400 per box. So, what do you think about this product? All right, very small base set for baseball, a high end product, and even and within that, Ichiro was designated as being a very special card in the base set.
Yeah, I mean, this is we talk about the detailing on this card, like, it's amazing. Like, we were talking about the All-Star jersey. The All-Star game was in Seattle that year too. So, like, there's just a lot of really cool detail with this, and, I believe was this the first year of Ultimate Collection Baseball?
I don't know.
That's, because I mean, this was early in the years of Upper Deck really getting into the game of, you know, premium products. I'm we're both old enough to, remember the idea of $100 for a pack of cards. Like, I mean, that's amazing. This was the first year of Ultimate Collection Baseball, by the way. So you also have that product lineage of it being, you know, first year. Um, I don't know, man. This card has held up so well. We were talking about SPX being the other autograph card. If you remember the SPX jersey autograph card, it was during that weird stretch of years where Upper Deck did this thing where they did it with baseball, football, and basketball cards, where they did essentially cut autographs as
Mhm.
opposed to stickers. So it would be signed on what looked like a lineless white index card and then inserted into the card. And this led to, kind of some hit and miss eye appeal because you would get autographs. Like, I always think of 2001 SPX football for this because there's autographs from that set where the autographs look totally cut off, but it's just because the window for that cut signature was so small. So eye appeal wise, I mean, this is really tough to top.
It is. Yeah. So this final segment of discussing this card is going to get into the SPX, and I agree with your assessment on the aesthetics of it. So, some background on the market for this particular Ichiro. The only other time that there's been a public sale of one of the three PSA 10s of this Ultimate Collection rookie, it was over 7 years ago, and it was a different copy. So this is the first appearance of this copy on the public market. The other copy, which sold in 2016, went for a little over $10,000. So a healthy sum at the time, but maybe I guess maybe $10,000 for a Hall of Fame caliber player in 2016 is on par with 200,000 today. I don't know. Maybe but so that's the only other sale of a PSA 10. The previous sale in any grade was a PSA 8, which sold in July of 2019. So even there, the most recent sale of this card in any grade was over 4 years ago. And that copy sold for a little under $5,000. And again, 2019, it does. But 2019 was, you know, like a lifetime ago in terms of the hobby market. Final note here. So we've been referring to the 2001 SPX jersey autograph, which is Ichiro's only other autographed base set rookie card. Now that one is not numbered, and the PSA 10 pop is 89 with 293 total copies graded by PSA. And that card in a PSA 10 recently sold for a little over $6,000. So there's a giant gap in value between the Ultimate Collection copy, which just sold in PSA 10 versus the SPX. I mean, one of many multiples. So it would appear to me, Ryan, that as a consequence of this sale, there's no doubt that this is the top Ichiro card out there.
You know, the I was digging up some photos of the 2001 SPX because I very vividly remember the card. And while you do deal with some aesthetic issues with the cut auto, The only leg up that the SPX card has on this is that it has a piece of game worn jersey from 2001 spring training, which is a really cool, unique thing. But I mean, just in terms of a of an Ichiro card to put in a museum, like this is the one. This is absolutely the one. I mean, Ichiro's fascinating to me. I think this is a guy who, you've mentioned some impressive sales data of him from recent years. You know, he kind of checks all those boxes in that, he had a Hall of Fame career that's already like set in stone. You know, the I guess you could say the accolades are just, I mean, that's locked in. But he came along at a time in the hobby where he was a rookie in 2001, where you have over the course of his major league career, he had all of the cards, so to speak. He had the gold refractors. He had the rookie, even though there's a couple, the rookie autos. He has the Topps Chrome flagship, all those things. Um, Really fascinating guy, and as from a hobby standpoint, and his player index on Card Ladder. I mean, I'll tell you what, when you look at it, there's been a lot of movement on it. His market right now is, kind of down from where it was even earlier in 2023, but this is a guy where you can get some really cool cards of him still for pretty reasonable prices.
Yep, I think that's right. And card ladder indexes are normalized so that the first day in the life of that index is a value of 1,000. And then that makes it really easy when you look at the index. Like you look at Ichiro and you say, okay, his index's value today is 15,600. So you can quickly extrapolate that his index has appreciated by a factor of 15.6 since day one of his index. And day one of his card liner index was April 1st, 2004. So you can kind of neatly track a large chunk of the Ichiro market using his card letter player index as a proxy. But even though his index is up by a factor of 15 over the last 19 years, like many like many goats in multiple sports, his market really kind of peaked in early 2021. So his index in March of 2021 nearly reached a value of 30,000. And now today it's corrected by almost 50%, which is completely standard. There's very few players who, especially like all-time greats, who didn't experience a similar type of peak and correction. And then, like I said, if you take the longer view, his index is still up 15-fold over the course of the last 19 years. So there may be opportunity right now. There may not be. I mean, he just had a $200,000 card sale. Like maybe the market's a little bit hot right now, and maybe it's maybe if you're interested in Ichiro cards, now's a good time to do some digging into PSA card facts and some other sources, checklists, learn about the full Ichiro offering. That's one thing, Ryan, that I've done more recently with players that I collect, especially like new players I'm looking at collecting. I'll get out my spreadsheet and I'll build their entire rookie card rookie year offering. So base set cards, inserts, all of it, and just kind of survey it and start getting a real feel for the lay of the land. And I think that would be a really fun project for somebody to do with Ichiro.
Yeah, I was gonna say that nails it perfect. If this is like the exact type of guy where, I find myself in these positions all the time. I need a new collecting project to get into. I want something really fascinating to explore. Ichiro checks a lot of boxes. So do the homework, give it a look, but really fascinating case. So we're gonna take a really quick break here. We'll be right back, and as per usual, we're gonna get into rising and falling player indexes and rising and falling cards that stood out from the past month. Going to take that quick break. We'll be right back here on the Index. Hey guys, you might have heard by now, and you also might not have, and that's fine too. But on November 1st, PSA launched something big. through the end of 2023, we are rolling out a calendar of 12 unique grading specials. Yup, one right after the other. Now, typically our grading specials last a full month for our Collectors Club members, but this is going to be different. Each week, we're going to be dropping something new. Follow along at psacard.com or follow us on social at psacard on all platforms, and you'll see the reveal of each new special as they're unveiled. This week, for example, we're offering discounted pricing on our popular Value Plus service tier, good for cards with a maximum declared value of $500 and an attractive 20 business day estimated turnaround time. What's special about this one, too, is that no Collectors Club membership is required to take advantage of it. Some of these specials along the way will require club membership. It's going to be a bit of a surprise each week, but know this, we are offering unique specials along the way that have you covered, no matter what you collect. TCG, vintage, ultramodern sports, Funko Pops, all of it. So again, bookmark psacard.com, check out that big holiday specials banner at the top, and follow us at PSA Card on Facebook, X, or Twitter, whatever you're calling it, and Instagram to stay up to date on these specials right as they drop. Now, back to the show. All right, welcome back to the Index. Ryan Green and Chris McGill here, looking back at some notable items from the sports card market and activities from October 2023. And now we get to, personally, my favorite part of the show where we talk risers and fallers. We'll talk about a rising and falling player index from the last month and a rising and falling card from the last month based on card ladder data. You always find some really interesting, timely insights here. Chris, let's start with player indexes. This is an interesting one. Who's on the rise from last month?
Yeah, shouldn't be super surprising that the now newly minted 2 times World Series MVP Corey Seager of the Texas Rangers. And even if I completely stuck my head in the ground, I would not have been able to avoid knowing that the Texas Rangers won the World Series being here in Dallas, because there was a parade in Arlington that had hundreds of thousands in attendance, but the night that they clinched, we were at a Mavericks game, and then we came home and watched the ninth inning. And then, I mean, we live in the downtown area, and just the bars were going nuts. People were driving around just honking their horns, people opening their windows and screaming at each other. I mean, it was pretty nuts. There weren't any cars turned over or set on fire or anything, but
It is pretty cool living in a city when a sport, even if they're not your teams, like where like a championship happens like that.
yeah, it was cool. It was special, and nobody really saw it coming, I don't think. So it was a pleasant surprise. But yeah, Corey Seager is our rising player index, up 32% this month. And one of the cards that's driving the uptick is Seager's 2012 Bowman Chrome Autograph PSA 10, which had sold for $350 on October 11th, and then nearly doubled in price, up to $632 on November 2nd. So that playoff run really supercharged his market. And even though the index shows only 32% increase, that's partially because there's some lag. There's some cards that just haven't sold, and if and when they do sell again, they would raise that index up further. But I see a lot of examples like his Bowman Chrome First PSA 10, which almost doubled in price over the span of the playoff run.
This is going to be a guy who I think years down the line, like people are still going to be shocked at how cheap, so to speak, like his cards are. Like he's had some consistency issues in his career with his health. He's stayed pretty healthy the last 2 years since he went to Texas, and he's been incredible. Not a flashy guy, but I mean, the guy's a monster of a baseball player if you follow the sport. His overall index is up 31.2% this year. So it's seen some pretty steady growth. Especially it seems since, kind of the beginning of September as we got towards the postseason. But gonna point it out, he's one of those guys that for me as a collector, and I know I probably need to be more used to it now because of player movement, but all of his rookie cards are in the Dodger uniform.
Yep.
Drives me nuts. Drives me nuts. But the guy's a monster of a player, and I think he's just going to be one of those guys moving forward too. You mentioned the spike obviously coming as the result of a huge postseason and World Series. I just don't think he's ever going to be a guy who, like, during the regular season, even if he's hot, is just going to be super buzzy. It's not a team people pay a ton of attention to. Like I said, not a very, personality driven player. I think this is a guy who you're going to see the market spike when he does big things on the big stage. But so far in his career, he's shown he's pretty comfortable doing that.
Yep. Well said. So the player that we've got for the other side, Ryan, the the falling index, and it is a big fall, down 71% this month, is the Saints' very own Derek Carr. And cards responsible for this decline in his index include his 2014 Prism Base PSA 10, which was selling for around $50 in late September, and now has plummeted to recent sales in the $10 to $15 range. And the Saints are 5-4. I mean, they're not like a total disappointment, but Carr is 19th in QBR this year, and I'm not sure what expectations people had for Carr and for the Saints going into the season, but the hobby market is giving a pretty decisive rejection of his performance so far.
I was pretty high on him coming into this year because that's a pretty good roster he was coming into. Obviously, I think he's still battling the shoulder injury a little bit. But here's the thing I'll say: down hefty this month, but starting quarterback on a team that is likely going to win its division essentially by default. That division's just so bad. They're 5-4, and they could just as easily be probably like 7-2 right now. I think they're probably going to be a playoff team, and you just never know. So, if you have any interest in Derek Carr cards, obviously now's the time. But I don't know. I'm interested. I was very, like I said, I was very high on the move for the Saints going into this year. Not enough to the point where I went and bought any Derek Carr cards, but I will say I got to the point where I was at least doing eBay searches.
Well, would you still, given what we know today after 9 games, are you still eBay searching him or no?
Knowing these prices now, might give it a look.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I've always liked Derek Carr, so kind of easy guy to root. So we're gonna stick with football. Let's talk about rising and falling individual cards from the last month.
Yes. So sticking with football, sticking with the quarterback position, but somebody whose season is going a little bit differently. This particular card is up 88% this month. It's the 2018 Prism Silver Lamar Jackson PSA 9 rookie year card. It most recently sold about a week ago for $552. And the previous sale was $293 on October 20th. So basically there was about a week and a half difference between those sales, and it made a big leap. Now, what that's the wider view of that, the larger context to it, is that the Lamar is really just returning to what its preseason value was. It had sort of taken a dip during the course of the season, and now it's made a strong rebound. The card is a pop 85 with only 28 higher, and I think we've discussed on previous episodes about how Prism Silvers in football, especially during that 2018 era, were they were limited to only a few a box or one a box or something like that. What's interesting about this card is that, so like I said, the last sold was in late October for $552. This card once sold for as high as $3,100 in July of 2020. And that was really like the heyday of the Lamar Jackson card market. It was, pretty soon after his MVP season. July 2020 was when we were all starved of sports because sports were on pause. Yeah, it was just, there was no way anybody's card market could live up to the expectations and the potential and the speculation that was going on for Lamar. Uh, and also populations were lower and so on and so forth. But yeah, it had peaked as high as $3,100 a little over 3 years ago. But here it is today, making a rebound from $293 to 550. And I don't know about you or how you think. We were talking a little bit sort of about your opinion on the Ravens, but I think this is pretty clearly Lamar Jackson's best chance to get to the Super Bowl, even in a very difficult AFC.
It's a roster with like no weakness anywhere. Um, and I mean, they're kind of flying under the radar to a degree right now as we stand here in the first full week of November. But I really want to preach the uniqueness of the rarity here. I mean, when you compare this with Silver Prism rookies in the last 3 years of Prism products, I mean, 2018 it kind of stands out on its own. Um, I will say while I was doing eBay searches for Derek Carr cards a little bit in July and August as the preseason was happening, I was definitely doing Lamar Jackson eBay searches, and this one I definitely regret not pulling the trigger on a couple. Because it definitely felt like there was a little bit of people were a little down on him after all the contract stuff the last year plus. He kind of had to prove it again to all over again to some people. He's definitely doing it so far. I'll tell you what, this card is hot, and I guess I just wouldn't be shocked if the Ravens just keep doing what they do, and this card just keeps performing strong over the next couple months. You know, as long as
For
everything
sure.
stays the same. So, um, we started this whole segment with baseball. We're going to finish it with baseball because um, it's really an example of baseball season ends. You kind of go into the long winter, and I feel like you see it more with baseball than like any other sport because baseball's the one sport that's not really staying relevant in the cycle with fans like year round, like the NBA and the NFL do. So with baseball cards, typically you see that dip, and this is an interesting one.
It's a great point too. I mean, baseball's off season has to compete with basketball, football, and hockey's on season, if you will. So it's baseball does go out of sight, not of mind for a little while. And sort of the excitement of the playoffs, it just all ends at once. And now our minds are being pulled in all the different professional sports that are now going into the depths of their season. So, but yeah, the player we have up is Corbin Carroll, and the card in question is his 2019 Bowman Chrome Sparkles Refractor autograph, which is numbered to 71. Really sharp looking card. This one in a PSA 9 is down 42% over the last month, which is a huge percentage drop. But when we kind of take a wider view, we'll get a better grip on the context for that. So this card last sold for about $1,100. In that the last sale was October 26th. Last sold for about $1,100, and previously the prior sale was $1,999 on October 11th. So big drop, obviously, 42% decline over the last month. But an interesting thing about that, we'll just call it the $2,000 sale on October 11th, 2023. That was the most that this card has ever sold for. This was the peak, which is nice. It's refreshing to have a peak price for a card that happened just a few weeks ago, as opposed to the 2021 peak or what have you. So this card is a pop 15 with 9 higher, so there's 15 nines and 9 tens. And, even though it's down 42%, and it's currently worth maybe about $1,100, the first public sale of this card was only $318 back in April of 2021. So the card is still several multiples more valuable than it was back when it came out. And I think even factoring in the price drop, $1,100 is a pretty strong price for this card, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, by far one of the best young players in all of baseball will likely be an NL Rookie of the Year. played well in the postseason, made it all the World Series, all the way to the World Series in his first major league season. This is kind of that time of year where I love seeing, I like seeing things like this because this is about the time of year where I'm starting to think, all right, pitchers and catchers report in about 3 months. Who are the young players in Major League Baseball that I kind of want eye on, like getting a couple cards of between now and then? Um, this time last year, it was Corbin Carroll. Um, and God, I feel like I'm totally just outing myself here by just continuing to admit this. I was eyeing it and I didn't pick any up. Um, but no, this is kind of standard activity in the market for baseball cards this time of year. But I think it's really cool to see because this is a guy that a lot of people in the hobby were high on going into this year. So I like seeing you mentioned that $2,000 sale. Like I like seeing that. I like seeing that there were clearly some people that got, rewarded for having that faith at the beginning of the year with a guy come October, which is like the signature month for baseball. So I like seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, um, as recently as June, the card was selling for in the $750 range. So, if somebody decided to sell in early October, they probably increased their value of the card by 50-75%. So definitely a nice reward waiting for people who believed in Corbin Carroll early this season.
And it's a tale as old as time in every sport, no matter what you collect. Postseason performance matters.
Yeah, it does.
It really does. Well, I know I'm about to go, about to bury my head and in the books, so to speak, and figure out some guys I want to target, but maybe I won't be so gun shy this offseason because I'm going to listen back on this episode and be like, man, you were an idiot for reaching for passing on a couple of those. But no, Chris, this was great. I'm really excited because I think now moving forward too, as we start talking about the index, when we look back on November 2023, we're going to start seeing some basketball card market movement.
I think that's a safe bet, Ryan.
We need the Wembanyama stuff to hit the market already, man.
I almost selected him for the rising and falling indexes, but I said, you know what? Let's give it another month. Okay. Spoiler, his market is up since the season started. But you know what? We needed to put a bow on the baseball season, and Corey Seager is up even more over the last month than Wembanyama is. So Seager got the position.
Well, there you have it. There's your teaser for the November 2023 edition of the index. We will be talking Wemby. But until then, for Chris McGill, I'm Ryan Green. Thanks everybody for tuning in to the index on the PSA Pod here. We'll be back with you again next week. Take care.